And if you watch, you know the story. Ben Affleck in this movie, he happens to be an individual who happens to have autism, but also happens to have hyper, what do you call it? Like this savant syndrome, where he's extremely intelligent, genius level intelligence, right? But kind of you mesh that with his autism, and you have an individual, unfortunately, who, if you know anybody on the spectrum, they have a hard time dealing with certain things like social skills, communication, eye contact, all these things that individuals with those on that spectrum deal with. And you see that in the original movie. But at the same time, you see something else in that movie. You see him with a brother who happens to be John Benthal, the Punisher, and they're polar opposites, but they have a dad who really, really, because he understands that his boys are going to have a tough time once they grow up. So he's trying to teach them how to be men. He ends up teaching them how to fight, how to defend themselves, how to, and then obviously you cut through the movie where they're adults and you find out that Ben Affleck's character, who as an adult is an actual accountant. Well, that's what he uses to hide his other stuff, because he's also an assassin for hire. So his day job is an assassin, but his pretend job is an accountant. He's really good at it. But anyway, so you see this play out in this movie, and in the first movie, we ended up falling in love because he played it to a T. I mean, people didn't really assume, like, even though he's a classically trained actor, he has an Oscar as a director and as an actor. I guess people didn't see him play these kinds of roles, and he played it so well where we loved it. And then having John Benthal, this was before he was a Punisher, see him and seeing those two play alongside each other, that dynamic, the first movie, we didn't really get a lot of it. In the sequel, we got a whole lot of it. And when I tell you that this was well worth the wait, and again, that's one of those things where when you do a sequel, you can either elevate the status of that movie or absolutely destroy it.